morning. It's great to see you all here. I would like to thank you for listening to my answers related to the questions given. My name is Vivian Vanessa. Sometimes my friends call me Vivi. I'm a student from Universitas Tanjung Pura, batch 20 and 20. Today, I'm here to answer all questions that given by my lecturer, namely Sir Ade Morsalin. Firstly, I would like to answer the part A questions related to the activities in my classroom. There are 4 questions there. Move, we have the part B with five questions. These questions related to the organizational behavior lecture, and then I will watch 2 videos and answer to the questions given. Well, my dear friends, let me begin my answers. Okay, first I would like to explain about my activeness during the organizational behavior class. I can say that I'm quite active, attending the class of organizational behavior lecture. I never skip the class, and for the evidence itself, I do engage in some discussion handled by my friends by answering the questions that they gave to us. The example is when the presentation handled by my friends, namely Al-Amin and Naufal, they present the chapter 3, and I answer one of the questions by mentioning 2 sets of skill ability. Next, I also answer to Sir Ade Morsalin question for chapter 2, number 5, related to the Elton's Mayo experiment called Illumination Experiment at Hawthorne and its findings. Next, I will talk about the old chapters that presented before the final term test, but I will explain it step by step. So before we have final term test, we have the midterm test first. So before the midterm test, we have around 4 groups that have already presented. So for the chapter 1, namely study of organizational behavior, it is presented by Sir Ade Morsalin himself. And the chapter 2, namely evolution of management concepts, it is presented by Adriel Pelindungan and Michael Bryan. And the chapter 3, the title is individual dimension of organizational behavior, is presented by Al-Amin and Naufal. And the chapter 4, namely personality, it is presented by Franciscus William Andrea with Bill Rest. And the chapter 5 is about learning. It is presented by Frida Veronica and Cecilia Ivana Rairi. But how I find the presenters, it is because I watch them presenting during the class, and I also know it before the presenting because we have the list on our WhatsApp group. Okay, the midterm test presenter has already mentioned before. Next, I will tell you about who will present for the rest. So here's the presenter before the final task. We have chapter 6, namely value, attitude, and job satisfaction. It is presented by Yatisha and Ureshafa. Then the chapter 7, called motivation, it is presented by Fiona Sharenita with Vivian Vanessa. Then the chapter 8, it is perception and individual decision making, presented by Zalsa and Rifa Dalvianti. Then the chapter 9, namely interpersonal behavior, is presented by Fatima Azara with Novelia. Then the chapter 11 is conflict management, presented by Abdul Razak and Florencia Alika. Then the chapter 12 with title stress management, it is presented by Vicenza and Nisha. Then the chapter 13, namely dynamics communication, it is presented by Yosia and Adel. Then the last chapter, chapter 15, namely leadership, it is presented by Iklima and Zakia. Next, I will tell you about what I obtained after watching my friend's presentation. And I can tell you that I get new knowledge, I get new information related to the topic that being their presentation, and I like to watch all of my friends' presentation because everyone has their own way to deliver their speech toward the topic that is given to them. Then I will give example for you. From the chapter 2, I discovered the long process in the evolution of management process itself, and I also be reminded about the founder of the management and economy term that we study now. And then for the chapter 4, which is very interesting for me, because we learned about personality, so I do gain new knowledge about the kind of personality of human itself, and I also know the new test for the personality, because now I only know the MBTI test that is usually used by a lot of people, but actually besides the MBTI test, there are a lot of more. And then for the chapter 5, which is learning, it sounds so simple, but actually it's not that simple, because when we learn, it is very important, because related to the organizational behavior itself, we learn about the human behavior that is crucial for the sake of the organization itself. For the organizational behavior, Sir Adi Morsalin has already given us a book. It is ebook that written by Fiji Kondalkar, namely Organizational Behavior. This book conducted around 20 chapters in total, and I found this book because Radhi Mursalin has sent it to our WhatsApp group for this lecture. This is the part I has already done. Now I'll move to the part B questions. We have around 5 questions here. So the first one, I would like to explain about the organizational behavior itself. So organizational behavior is a study that focuses on individuals, focus on groups, behavior, and the organizational structure impact itself to the place where they are in, and in purpose to increase the effectivity and efficiency in organizational performance and for the internal better growth. So various factors considered to regulate the individual behavior itself, it can be seen from the psychology side that could boost up the personality from the person, and also we can boost up their skill to create a better attitude and develop positive approach toward the organizational systems. So the examples we can see from the personality, motivation, learning, the training and developments, the attitude, job design, the ego stats, and so on. So individual values itself, it is formed in the initial stages. They are influenced by parents, by friends, by teachers, and the social groups. So these values that created will, from person to person, will help for the understanding in attitude and motivational level of individuals. Next, I will tell you about the various fields in organizational behavior. First is psychology. So basically, it is an applied science which attempts to explain the human behavior in particular situation and also predicts actions of an individual. So psychologists have been able to modify individual behavior largely with the help of various studies that they have already done, and it also has contributed toward the various theories on learning and motivation. Meanwhile, besides that, we also have the personality side, the training and development, the theories on individual decision making, leadership, job design, job satisfaction, ego stat, attitude, the work stress, and conflict management. So psychology that usually used in organization is to apply for the employee selection test, and also measuring personality attributes and aptitude, and also additionally to explore the new areas applicable for the organizational behavior for our own organization. Besides psychology, we also have the sociology that give a better insight related to the human in individual role for the organization. Then we also learned about how employees communicate with others, how they apply the norms, the value, the status, the power, the conflict management, and also the group discussion to solve their own problem with the others. There is further sociology. Next, move to the political science. So political science has contributed to the organizational behavior. The stability of the government at national level is one of the major factors for promotion business for the financial investment, expansion, and employment. So various government rules and regulations play a very crucial, a very decisive role for the growth in our organization. So we have to follow all the rules, whether it is good or bad for our company, but we still have to follow the rules that created by the government. Therefore, we can say that the rules of the government nowadays, it is applied for us in organization. Next point, it is social psychology. So, working organizations are formal assembly of people who are assigned specific jobs and play a vital role in formulating the human behavior. It is a subject where concept of psychology and sociology is played to be one to create a better human behavior for our organizations. The field has contributed to manage change, to manage the group decision making, the communication, the ability of people in our organization, and also to maintain the social norms that exist in our environment. And the last point of the field in organizational behavior is anthropology. It is a field of study relating to the human activities in various cultural and environmental frameworks. It understands the difference in behavior based on the value systems of different cultures of different countries in this world. Nowadays, managers will have to deal with individuals and groups belonging to different ethnic cultures and exercise etiquette, control, or even distribute behavior in the desired direction by appropriately manipulating the various cultural factors that we have. So the study is more relevant to organizational behavior because nowadays we have to face the globalization, we have to face the mergers and acquisition that can be done smoothly of various background of this ethnicity itself. Okay, for the third question, I will trace out the evolution of management process itself. So management process is divided into three parts. The first one we have the classical theories, and the second one we have the neoclassical theories, and the third one we have the modern management theories. I will explain it one by one, start from the classical theories. So the classical theories itself is also divided into three parts. The first one is the Bureaucracy Theory by Weber in the year of 1900. His major contribution to this theory is the concept of authority, the structure and relationship. Weber, in his model of bureaucracy, stated there are three types of authority in an organization. The first one is the legal authority, indicating that a person holds authority based on a legal position in a rank within the rank within a hierarchy. So we know hierarchy, they have their own stage from the lowest to the highest. And the second one is traditional authorities. So employees have to obey a person because he comes from a traditional, recognize the power holding a family or a person belonging to a royal family. And the third one is the charismatic authority, which indicates a special power by a person or a groups that appeal to a leader processes. Next, we have Scientific Management Theory by Taylor that published in the year of 1110. So, scientific management, propagated by Taylor itself, that has made a major contributions in the production process. So, it created near revolution in the field of the engineering, production, and work performance. It contributed toward the efficiency of the time that used for the production process, and also the standardization, the specialization, and simplification of the work. So the work from the complex, it becomes more simple by this scientific management. In scientific management, there are around 8 features in this theory. I will mention it one by one. The first one is separation of planning doing. The second one is functional foremanship. The third one is job analysis. The fourth one is standardization. The fifth one is scientific selection and training of workers. The sixth one is financial incentive, and the seventh one is economics, and the eighth or the last one is mental revolution. Okay, the third theories, or the last one for the classical theories, it is from Vail, that was published in the 1910, called administrative theory of or process management theory. So his contribution is generally termed as process management and administrative management. Vail look up from the top management point of view. He has used the term administrative instead of the management emphasizing that there is a unity of science administrative. This administrative can be applied equally well to the public and the private affairs. Therefore, management is a universal phenomenon. However, he has emphasized that principles of management are flexible and not absolute, and are usable regardless of charging to the special conditions. Fail itself has already divided the activities in an organization into 6 groups. The first one is technical, the second one is commercial, the third one is financial, and the fourth one is security, the fifth one is accounting, and the sixth one is managerial. Fail also divided his approach of studying management into 3 parts. The first one is managerial qualities, the second one is general principles of management, and the last one is elements in management. Okay, the classical theory has already been explained by me, so the next one is neoclassical theories. Here we have 2 kinds of theory. The first one is the human relation theory that was created in the year of 1930. So human relation theory itself began in the year of 1927 by Elton Mayo. The essence of the movement was initially believed that the key of higher productivity is the higher satisfaction that was felt by the employee. So in the year of 1924, Hawthorne studies that was done by Elton Mayo was sponsored by the National Research Council. Engineers of the company carried out the initial research, and the object of the study was to examine the effect of various illumination levels on productivity. And the finding of this illumination itself is the illumination levels were not responsible for the higher productivity. Next, because the findings before is not really successful, so Elton Mayo himself started a new experiment in the year of 1927. Mayo started a relay room experiment, which may be treated as actual beginning of Hawthorne studies. And then the last one, it is called massive interview and bank writing experiment, also held by the Elton Mayo himself. The second theory is called behavioral science theory by Maslow and McGregor. It is published in the year of 1940. So, I will start from the Maslow theory first. Maslow theory generally stated 5 needs of human beings. His original work of need theory was undertaken with the rehabilitation of people in mind. The 5 needs are psychological needs, the security needs, social needs, self-esteem needs, and the self-actualization needs. Before a person enters to fulfill a higher needs in the hierarchy, the Maslow itself tell us that we have to fulfill our needs, start from the lowest. After we fulfill our lowest needs, then we can move up to the higher needs that we want. Then there are it's like a requirement that Maslow stated that we must achieve minimum 2 basic needs. They are psychological needs and the safety needs. After we fulfill these 2 needs, then we can go up into the third one, which is self-actualization, the self-esteem, and the social needs. And actually, needs cannot be disappear because it always exists in the life of human being itself, but its potency can be reduced. And the next higher order, it also takes a higher precedence that we have to give out more money, we have to give up more energy to reach the higher needs in the hierarchy. So once that is fulfilled, the next needs becomes more dominating, and so on. And actually, this theory become the motivation of worker nowadays. Okay, that is for the Maslow 5 needs hierarchy. Then we'll move to the theory X and Y that you guys maybe has ever heard before. It was created by McGregor. So basically, we have 2 diagonally opposite view of human behavior. So that is why the name is X and Y that we also has ever found in the math subject. Okay, the theory X, I'll start from the theory X. McGregor assumed that average human being dislikes work and will try to avoid it as much as possible. So here, the theory illustrates the employee that are lazy, they must be controlled by the top manager and then cursed, and they also even want to be punished to achieve the organizational goal. So they are kinda lack of motivation. So therefore they don't have any intention and motivation to work their job. So the average employee do not accept responsibility and they seek direction from the superiors. They are lack of ambition, and also the McGregor itself stated that it's like he recommends the manager to enable a close supervision and also make a tighter control, and the managers must expert to achieve the organizational objective because they have to give out more energy to motivate their employee here. If the theory X, the employee is lack of ambition, the lack of motivation, have no intention to work, this is the opposite of the theory X, called theory Y. So here, the theory Y illustrates a group of employees that really likes work. They like to take it as natural as they play. So they will feel no force at all to do their own job. So employees can exercise self-direction, they also can exercise their self-control toward their own self, and also given a proper working conditions. And the average person in this group also seeks to have a good personalities and good responsibilities toward their job. And McGregor himself felt that wisdom is wisely spread among the employees, and they are innovative, they are creative, and can take a good quality of decisions. They also can make a great output after they taking their responsibilities. The classical theories has been already described, and also for the neoclassical one, and the last that will be explained is about the modern management theories. So modern management theories period started when we heard about the re-engineering, we heard about the benchmarking, goal-based management, and empowerment process were introduced. So demand endurance, whole quality management approaches spark. There was a revolution in the country of US and Japan. So these ideas were introduced in order to increase the stakeholder satisfaction, to increase the retained competitiveness, and also to increase the customer satisfaction. So in the classical theory and neoclassical theory, we give our big concern to the production, to the employee satisfactions. But here in modern management, we give aside our concern and our perspective to the satisfaction of stakeholders and also to the customers, because they have a quite big impact for our organizations. And in modern management theories, we have a term that called zero error syndrome. So all organizations made an effort to implement system approach, which will efficiently with technology. It also will have a process improvement and adoption of a system that will reduce our operating time and also will make a cost efficiency for our organization. Since this could not account for the contingencies, managers were constantly forced to develop new strategies. The introduction of contingency theory followed. The theory of contingency itself is accounts for managerial decisions in a variety situations. So according to the contingency theories, managerial decisions and organizational structures should be tailored to the circumstances. The development of computers, the electronic media, and information technology had nearly revolutionized the civilizations. and the effectiveness of communication significantly increased at this time, and managers are in a position where him or her has to gather all important informations that helps them to make it quick and well-informed decisions. And organizational effectiveness has increased as a result of this phenomena. Move to the number 4 questions. I have already read a case with title Hazards of Heels. It is on a page of 66 to 69 of the book in Organizational Behavior lecture. So there are several questions there and I will answer them one by one. Here we have several questions and I will start from number 1. What are the qualities of a good leader and how were they applied? So, quality of a good leader, it was stated at the last paragraph that said the officer in charge of the local army workshop happened to be an officer with commendable helping attitude, positive bent of mind, and with an understanding of peculiarities in a problem area where such an accidents were quite frequent and possible. When approached to assist, he listened to the whole incident very sympathetically and promised to assist in whatever he could. This officer was a contemporary of the unit in a previous station and had excellent interactions with the unit. So, the quality of a good leader is having a good attitude to help, having a positive mind, having understanding about the hard situations happens to the others, and also have to be a good listener for everyone because he's a leader, so he has to listen to all aspirations, to all critics and solutions that were given for him or for her. The evidence can be seen from the actions of the young officer that arrived within his team in the unit and reported that the vehicle has fallen from a hillside road and was completely damaged. He also borrowed a driver of an ambulance from a local medical unit to direct his vehicle for the collection of medicine to the defense store, which is the road was very bad, but he still wanted to go there because he know that the stock of the medicine for his other officer has already decreased a lot to face the terrible snow. And this young officer was given a responsibility to getting back the vehicle to the unit, and he successfully made it through the treacherous terrain with his team. Number 2 questions. Which factors contributed to motivate the troops to go ahead for such a difficult task as recovering a damaged vehicle from such a difficult and treacherous terrain and getting it repaired in such a very short time? So, in my perspective, it is because of the leader's big intention to help the officers below him. The sense of belonging slowly created to help each other from the dangerous situation. Teamwork also takes part in this case, so they can repair the damaged vehicle in a short time. The leader takes care of them, so that is what they do in return for their leader and for all the team that get trapped there. And fortunately, all of them arrive safely at the safe shelter. Additionally, the positive energy and optimism are 2 things that I assume included to be the factors, because without 2 of them, the officers will lose their motivation to survive together. Number 3, which incidents indicate the importance of good interpersonal relationship with junior, peers, and superiors, and what is the importance of interpersonal relationships? So it can be seen when the officers wants to get some medicine for the other officers at the defense store. The ambulance has trouble in the middle of the way, so all of the men got down, prevented the vehicle from revising by putting some stones behind the wheels and start checking what had gone wrong. Second one is when they push the vehicle trapped by the snow. Sometimes they were bordered on being humorous with everyone laughing spontaneously. So we can see how the interpersonal relationships between the pair between the young officer which become the leader and between the junior. At the same time, all of them were gathered together. They were united into one team to save each other at the dangerous time, because they were trapped in the middle of the snow, but they still can love together, which is a very inspiring moment for all of us to realize how much important the interpersonal relationship is. So, the interpersonal relationships are important. Why? Because for the overall physical and emotional happiness, relationships help fight loneliness while also giving us a sense of purpose on life. So that's what also happens to them, even though they have different what can I say, different levels in that organizations, because they were a leader, they are also officers, but they gather together, they unite into one to reach the purpose for their life. They want to save each other, being instead of being trapped in the middle of the snow. And then we can see the importance of interpersonal relationship itself for the simple case that we see around us every day. That is how closeness that we feel with our family, with our friends or other social groups is an essential part of our social support. So when we have social support, our self-esteem will become better, will become higher when we speak to each other. So I can say, therefore, we can have a great teamwork with each other, and we can work fast, and we can help each other life also, because we're a human being, we live in a social life, we need the other human to help our life. Okay, that is for the Hazard Hills cast. Now I'll move to the number 5 questions, which is the last one for the part B. It also asked me to read a page of a book on 114 page of the organizational book, and I have already answered 5 questions out of 11. Here I will explain them one by one. The number 1 question, I will explain about the difference of motive, motivation, and motivating. So, motive is a strong need which has a certain degree of strength on that propels a person to act for its fulfillment. It is an inner state that energizes, activates, and directs the behavior of an individual to achieve the goals. Meanwhile, motivation is a way in which individuals strive to fulfill the desires, to fulfill the urge and aspirations that explain the individual behavior. And motivation is an inner passion that propels an individual. So motivation is being our inner burning on a passion caused by the need, the wants, and the desire. Then, motivating is a situation wherein a person or an employee is stimulated to undertake the activities that may motivate him or her to achieve a higher goals. Motivating is recreating a situation by calming a worker's agitation. So one should attempt to decrease, then eliminate the restlessness in order to accomplish a higher goals. The number 2 is I'll explain the theory of Erg's break, and I will tell you about the hygiene factors and why they are called as the demotivators. Well, Hertzberg 2-factor theory, or we know as motivator hygiene, came from a study conducted among accountants and engineers to examine and to determine what makes an individual feel good or bad about their job. And regarding the satisfiers, there were 5 features of work that bring about the satisfaction, namely achievement, recognition, the job itself, responsibility, and investment. It's called motivational factors. Besides that, we also have the other factors, namely maintenance factors. And why they are called as the demotivators? It is because demotivators hygiene factors are two common factors in any work environment, because if they are not present, or if the hygiene factors are in any way managed or implemented improperly, they cause employees to be demotivated or disillusioned about the jobs. Next, I will explain. It is the third one, so we move to the next one. I will explain about the expectancy theory by Fromm. So Fromm's expectancy theory defines that behavior is a product of choices that are available to be prioritized. The idea is to derive satisfaction and minimize dissatisfaction in employees. Individual factors such as personality and skills will determine the performance. So, valence, instrumentality, and expectancy are three things that are related to the motivation of the employee itself. Okay, we move to the next one. I will explain in detail about the Erg theory of motivation and what is the big or the biggest significant difference between the Erg theory and Maslow's hierarchy theory. So here we go. Clayton Alderfer carried out a further studies on motivation theories of Maslow. So he identified basic three needs of human being. These are existence need, related needs, and growth needs. So Alderfer recommends satisfaction progression pattern of need. When one level of need is satisfied, then the higher level need of the need is arises. So if a higher level need isn't met, there may be a greater desire to meet a lower level need. Meanwhile, in Maslow's theory, we know that the level of needs of somebody will get higher if they accomplish the two basic needs, which is the psychology needs. Then we can only move to the higher one if we accomplish both of these needs. If we only accomplish one of them, so we can't go higher. Meanwhile, in this Clayton Alderfer theory, he stated that we only need to fulfill one need. I would like to explain in detail about the ERG itself. So E stands for existence need. So they are related to the provision of basic material requirement of human being that are related to the Maslow psychological and safety needs. And R stands for relatedness. This need is related to the desire of an individual to maintain sound interpersonal relationships. It is related to the Maslow's social need and external component of the self-esteem needs, such as the status, the recognition of somebody, and also the attention that they get. And the G stands for growth. Growth is an intrinsic desire for personal development. It is related to the intrinsic component of esteem need, like advancement, self-respect, autonomy, achievement, and self-actualization need that from somebody. The last one that I will explain about, can motivation be increased? And I will explain about the various factors that influences the motivation itself. So motivation can be increased because as what I have already mentioned before, it is a stimulation that can be stimulated by somebody. So because it is a stimulation that can be given by others, so the various factors also conducted in here. The first factors are recognize work. The second one is celebrate result. The third one is encourage teamwork. The fourth one is create regular break, so we can heal ourselves a bit by taking 5 minute or 10 minutes break, so we can decrease our stress by the job that we have, and then we can create positive environment and be transparent for our employee in the organizations. The part A and B has already done. Now we move to the part C. So here I have already watched two videos given by Sir Adim Rosalin, and I will explain the content of the video one by one. So the first video is about organizational behavior. So the study of human behavior in organizational context. It is interface between human behavior and the organization itself. It is known as organizational behavior. Every person brings to an organization a distinct set of personal traits and distinct personal history, a distinct collection of their experience that they have before. Because we know in an organization we have a fresh graduate person, we also have the senior that has been worked for some companies for several years, and then that is a job for a manager because manager must consider the distinct perspective that each employee have and each employee brings to the workplace when evaluating the people who work for them. However, people don't live alone. They interact with organization and other people in a variety of ways. Points of contact include supervisors, co-workers, the organizational official policies and procedures, and numerous modifications made by the organizations. Additionally, people change throughout time as a result of their personal growth and experiences as well as their professional growth and the organizational changes. Well, similar to finance and marketing, organizational behavior is not clearly defined company function of area and responsibility. Instead, knowing more about the organizational behavior offers our organization a set of knowledge and resources that all managers must use for the performance for the organizations to perform their duties, to perform their job, to be more successfully in the future. If I were a manager, indeed, I would like to create a good environmental followed by a good culture for my organizations. Thus, I believe will lead my organization to have a good organizational behavior also. Since a good organizational behavior will make the entire of my organization to work fast, to work efficiently, to work effectively. And I would like to create a comfortable environment for all of my employees when they work. I don't like to have people with bad attitude because we know a good attitude and a good personality will determine where our company will go. Okay, that is for the first video. Now move to the second video. So this video talk about attitude. So this video duration is about 5 minutes. Meanwhile, for the first video, it takes about 29 minutes. Okay. The second video talk about the attitude. So it is the ABC model of the attitude itself. So based on the video, it said the attitude is a learned tendency to evaluate people, to evaluate issue around us, to evaluate the object or the issues that we see or the events that we followed. So 3 components that create the attitude is called, the first one is called affective. Affective is also well known as the emotional component. So we can feel our emotion toward a thing, such like when we see a bird, we feel that bird is cute. Okay, then move to the second one is called behavioral components. It is how we behave toward that object. So when we see a bird and we feel that bird is cute, that bird is beautiful, so we can't we spontaneously take a photo of that bird. Okay, and this third component is called cognitive component. So we have knowledge or belief toward the object that we see. So well, the example is when we see a bird, we feel that bird is beautiful, that bird is cute, then we take a spontaneously photo of that bird. Then for the cognitive component, we know what type of bird that is. The example that is pigeon. Okay, so because the first letter of the 3 components is, I will mention it once again. So the first one is affective, the second one is behavioral, and the third one is cognitive component. So each of these word, the first letter is A for affective, B for behavioral, and C for cognitive. They create the ABC model for the attitude. So that's what I have mentioned before, the ABC model that I talk about in this video. So when I were a manager, Well, I would like to have employees with a good attitude, of course. And since we can, how can I say? From the psychological test that we take before entering a job in a company, as the HR department, we can, how can I say? It's like forecasting somebody's personality by seeing the result of the psychological tests that were done by the employee, by the applicants. So I would only choose or only accept people with a good result of attitude, because a person with a good attitude, a person with a good personality will also create a better environment for my organization, and also will do a better performance, will create a better result and output for my organizations also. Well, my friends, this all my answers, and I hope you understand all of my answers. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and give comments. Thank you.